Hello, people of the internet. Yet again, we are back for another transfer show. Obviously, this is not, as you can tell by the title, this is not a Trading Irons episode. And as you probably will have known, we've been missing for quite a few weeks on it. And that's solely just because there was such inactivity. Content was getting a little stale, a little boring, a little old. But the foreign transfer window has now closed for the Premier League. So now we get to talk about what's happened, what is yet to come, as well as the Excel sheet I have been doing this entire window. But as always, I am joined by my co-host Irish Tommy. How are you doing?
Losing the will to live, Chris. But other than that, great. Just fucking yesterday was just a depressing day all round. Just seeing Sullivan put all his energies into getting rid of players. It's just on deadline day. He's almost so focused was who can I get rid of today on transfer deadline day? Who can I get out the door?
My favorite tweet that I think I saw yesterday was the fact that we didn't end up spending any money yesterday, but we did end up, we did, but it was $4 million for our own player.
Yeah, we spent money on transfer deadline day, shedding a player. So welcome to the circus.
Yeah, at this point there's no other way to put it. It really isn't.
Hi, Kieran, by the way. Hi, Neil. See you guys in the chat. Forever is in there. Some of the usual suspects. Yeah, Neil, who does not sleep. Although I granted it's the morning there now, so I'll let him get away with this one. This is the normal time to be up, but Neil never fails us.
Yeah, Neil's got some sort of superhuman gift. He's just every stream, every single one without fail. It's impressive.
I think he's like half dog. Do you know where he can like power nap, like on and off at will, and he can wake up and he's completely sprightly and run around and for a couple of hours, and then he can just he can just nap for a couple of hours.
Some spring cleaning. Well,
it is spring in Australia, so that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, as everyone knows by now, the transfer window the foreign transfer window, at least for the Premier League, has now officially shut as of last night, and the window for the lower leagues we're still able to buy from the Championship, League One, League Two until the 16th. But up to this point, we have only signed one player, two if you include the academy signing, and most notably, with all of it, we ended up with a plus £9 million net spend, by far the worst in terms of spending in the Premier League.
Plus 9 as in we've made 9 million.
Yes.
Yeah. So our spend is minus 9.
Only other side so in the positive is Leicester, and even they were bringing in players. It's just because of their high price tagged players that they shipped out. But even they only ended up plus like 130K.
Well, that's because they're a very, very well run club. It just goes to show you can't just look at those statistics and judge a club on it, because Leicester got a lot of money for their players. I mean, they get a lot of money. They sold Chilwell for 50 million. So,
okay. He was referring to Sullivan having a spring clean of the team. Yes.
Fair enough, Neil. Yeah, sorry about that went over my head.
Fair comparison.
Yeah. And I suppose ultimately that's what this show was about. So I mean, look, so all we've got in really is Kofal, and if Fredericks hadn't gotten injured, we wouldn't even have signed him. So no, if Fredericks had been fit, we wouldn't have signed a right back. They basically lost Fredericks and they said, oh shit, we need someone, because obviously you don't want to be rolling with Johnson just in case he doesn't prove to be very good. So they decided they needed someone for the right back position, and Thomas Soucek came to the rescue and said, "Oh, I've got a former teammate at Slavia who's really good, and most importantly, Sullivan, very, very cheap."
Yeah.
So he was able to go out and get.
To be quite fair, though, that if he can continue with how he played in the Leicester match, I think that was a good signing. I really do. So
he may prove to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's almost like a backhanded compliment, where it's like it's cheap, but yeah, he's a hell of a player. He could be a hell of a player for us. So it's West Ham. It's the good and the bad at all times.
Yeah, and if he does prove to be a good player, let's be honest, it's nothing to do with Sullivan.
No.
It's not like Sullivan had this guy scouted and knew what he was buying.
Yeah.
He literally listened to Thomas Soucek, who said, "Look, trust me, this guy is really, really good." Oh, Charlie's here. I was watching earlier Charlie on the show. He was on Hammer the Point a little while ago, so they must have finished up. So Charlie jumped across. So it's his turn to watch me now. But yeah, look, like I say, Kufal has nothing to do with Sullivan. He wouldn't have had a clue who this guy was. He just basically went on the word of Soucek, it seems, and got him in. He probably said, "Oh, how much? Oh, I like that. 5. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go with that, Thomas. Yeah, 100%. Good shout, bud." So he's basically just crossing his fingers now. He turns out to be a good player. Yeah, he did look a good player against Leicester, but again, this is no way to be doing business. It's just too hit and miss. This scattergun approach that Sullivan takes to signings. I mean, the amount of centre backs that we've been in for, and none of them have signed. I mean, we haven't gotten a single one over the line, and they've all been like different kinds of players. There's no rhyme or reason to who we're bringing in. They're all different types of centre backs. And so there's no vision there. There's no kind of obvious game plan here of, okay, we're going to sign a centre back, but it's going to be this kind of centre back that we need. Yeah. It's just literally, can we find a fucking centre back somewhere that we think is decent that we can actually go and sign? And the answer, unfortunately, up to this point has been no.
Yeah. Really quickly, we have a question for you. Where in Ireland are you from? From West Ireland?
Tipperdown, from Tipperary. But I live in Kerry. So, but yeah, I'm from Tipperary. So hence the jersey.
But one thing, with the center backs and the scattergun approach, one thing that you and I were talking about a little bit throughout deadline day, and I was absolutely laughing my ass off at, is there was comments being made about. It was another one that went very late. It was the Jonathan Tah rumors from Bayern Leverkusen. Apparently, West Ham, we were worried about his pace and about how if he was quick or not. And so we wanted a loan move with an obligation to buy at the end of it. And Leicester, again, talking about how well run they are, they were trying to buy him outright. So Leicester, the good squad, are saying, "All right, we'll just take him." And West Ham, we have to. Is his pace good enough? Oh,
really? So we're worried about Jonathan Tah's pace. This is the same club that offered over 30 million for Tarkowski.
Yeah.
Like, what are we? They're so full of shit.
Yeah.
What? As if Tarkowski is like lightning. Like, Tarkowski doesn't have pace. And why do we need a centre back? I mean, we don't really even play a high line, so why do we need pacey centre backs all of a sudden? It's I don't know. I mean, if you want a pacey centre back, fine, go sign a pacey centre back. But what are you doing? offering 35 million for Tarkowski.
Yeah. I think that price. Tarkowski is a good defender, but I think that price gets elevated solely because he's in the Premier League. I think that's the sole reason it gets elevated. We were willing to go that far. And obviously, we do not have a scouting network. So we had someone was asking just a few minutes ago if we had watched Kufal play or did we take him on the recommendation of Suchek. 100% we just took him on the recommendation. And same thing in the same kind of boat with Jonathan Todd. We had no knowledge on him. We had no footage. We might just be watching YouTube videos, YouTube highlights of him just to see if he's any good. But there's no one out there saying, "Oh, is he pacey enough?" So,
yeah, I mean, they're probably just checking their FIFA stats. They haven't seen him. They haven't seen him play. They don't know a fucking thing about any of these players they're signing. But ultimately, I can guess it doesn't really matter, seeing as we didn't sign a single one. So, and you know what? I was listening. This really fucking. If you want to know how fucking stupid our chairman is, Sullivan particularly, because he's the one who deals with the transfers. I was listening to Jim White on Talksport this morning, and he was talking about the deal for Tomori that fell through late.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's acting like this is just bad luck, right? Just bad luck. It's one of those things that happen, right? It just fell through. What are you going to do? The player, decided kind of 10 minutes before deadline he didn't want to go or whatever, right? First thing I want to say about that is, how are you finding out after you've agreed terms with Chelsea and there's 10 minutes to go till the transfer deadline? How are you now finding out that actually he doesn't want to go?
That's what stuck out.
He doesn't want to join the club. I mean, what are you doing? The first thing you do in a transfer is you approach the parent club and find out if they're willing to loan the player, right? So we've gone to Chelsea. We'd love to loan Tomori. Are you willing to loan him to us? Yes, we are. Okay, fantastic. Could you make a quick phone call, or we can phone his agent? And can we just find out if the person we're trying to loan is actually willing to come and play for us? Because you need both of those in place. You need the parent club to be willing to loan the player, and you need the player to be willing to come to you on loan. Yeah. Only then is it worth talking about terms. So what the fuck are we doing? We spent hours and hours talking to Chelsea, thrashing out terms, got everything sorted, and then went to Tomori, and he's gone, what do you mean? Actually, no, not interested in going to West Ham on loan. We spent all that time fucking around for nothing. It's ridiculous. And it's just absolutely shambolic.
Yeah. And if what Jim White was reporting was correct, the fact that there was a stipulation within the contract that for every time that Tomori did not play, we had to give Chelsea £50,000.
Oh my fucking God. I swear to God, when I heard that, I almost fucking fell off my chair. I said, are you fucking kidding me? There's only one way that works out, is if he comes and he's brilliant and he plays every game. I mean, that's best case scenario. So this is how fucking stupid Sullivan is. If Tomori comes and he's not good and he's playing poorly, making mistakes, Moyes is now in a position, the club is in a position where either Moyes benches him and we pay Chelsea 50 grand every time we play a game because Tomori's on the bench, or Sullivan tells Moyes, no matter how shit he is, you have to play him. If you don't play him, we have to pay Chelsea 50k. you have to play him every game because we don't have the money to pay Chelsea. We don't want to pay that money anyway. So he has to play whether he's shit or not. So it's lose-lose. It's like, I mean, I'm sorry, but Sullivan is actually a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Who agrees to that? Chelsea probably were laughing their asses off. They probably put in, oh, we want 50k. He's probably looking at his mate. We want 50k every time he doesn't play.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, go on then. And he's like,
honestly,
what? He actually fucking said, yeah.
It seems like almost like a dig at Moyes. Like, all right, you want a center back? Here you go. Now you're forced to play him.
Yeah, you're either forced to play him, which I think is probably what would have happened, because you know how stingy fucking Sullivan is with money.
We were complaining about 50k for the League Cup, let alone 50k for a player not playing.
And that was a one-off. That was a one-off payment, one game. Imagine if Moyes benched him and we have another 20 games to play and he doesn't play him. Do you think that's going to be allowed to happen by Sullivan? No. Sullivan's going to be on Moyes' ass telling him, you have to play him.
At this point with this club, you either have to laugh or you're going to cry. It's just, it's so bad. It is so bad.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when I heard that this morning. I mean, it just really goes to show just that Sullivan is just absolutely clueless.
And
I mean,
now moving on from this, talking about the Tomori's, Jonathan Tah, Sarr, I think it was, from Marseille and all them. Now we're looking at Craig Dawson.
Yeah. It's basically like Roger Johnson all over again.
Oh, God.
It's like, no, seriously, Chris, like, if we sign Craig, would you put it past Sullivan to sign Craig Dawson and fucking Denny Welbeck from Watford?
I saw that one too, and I can't be asked. It just seemed like after that Chelsea deal, I feel like there's going to be some sort of stipulation in either of those contracts that if they don't play, that they get an additional 50,000 or something like that. I don't trust this board with funds for transfers. Now I don't even trust them with negotiating the contracts.
No, I mean, look, they give ridiculous contracts. That's why they're basically spending this window trying to recoup money. Jim White was on saying, during the COVID they had to put 30 million of their own money in. Yeah, guess what, Jim? That was a loan that they're going to take fucking interest on. They're going to get every penny of that back, plus all the interest they gain from it in the meantime. So let's not pretend these are some fucking good Samaritans that are digging out the club here with their own money. They fuck? They took on all our debts from the bank. So we don't owe the banks the money anymore. We now owe it to Golden Sullivan. And so far, between them, they've taken 20 million out of the club in interest repayments. And they will get all of the money back, the loan money, the debt money. That's owed to them now by the club. They will get all of that back at the end of this too. So if you think that 30 million that they supposedly put in during lockdown isn't going to actually earn them money, then you're either a fool or, like Jim White, you're basically up Sullivan's arse.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're best friends with David Sullivan, trying to get a few extra pounds where you can. So I just don't know. I'm seeing rumors for championship players. So for those who somehow haven't seen, Felipe Anderson now has also gone out on loan or a season-long loan to Porto, with no buy-on clause at the end of it. So we will get him back at the end of the year. Hopefully he's reinvigorated, confidence back. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know how often he'll even play. I don't watch the Portuguese league at all. So, but supposedly, according to some of the stories I've seen, is now that he is gone, we will take our full attention and put it on Saeed Benrahma. So I don't know if it's an upgrade or not. I don't know if we're going to get him
No, it's not. It's a lie.
More than likely.
I genuinely do not believe they're going to shell out the money. Benrahma's price went up this morning.
Yeah.
The only show in town right now for Premier League clubs is the Championship. The only show in town. So Benrahma's price, as of 11 p.m. last night, went up. So whereas you may have been able to get Benrahma for 20 million yesterday, today they're probably going to be looking for at least 25, probably with add-ons as well on top. Because they got paid for Watkins from Villa. Yeah. So that's their that's where Brentford's thinking is. That now, if you want Benrahma, which is fair enough from Brentford's point of view, it's fair enough from their point of view. Look at, he's been on fire already this season, in the early games for Brentford this season. And I'm sure they're saying, look, we only have until the 16th to try and replace him. And if you want to take him, you're going to pay for him. So, it's, fair play to Brentford. They pulled Villa's pants down on Watkins. I know he got a hat-trick the other day, and he may well prove to be a very good striker for Villa, but they still got very, very good money for him. For someone who'd never played a Premier League game, that was a huge gamble from Villa. So fair play to Brentford, but I think now if we were to go in for Benrahma now, I guarantee you they're talking at least 25 million, at least, if we go for Benrahma, or anyone else, frankly. And let's be honest, we would not be the only suitors.
No, of course not, no. And the thing that annoys me most, I think, personally, with this extended window, this an additional 11 days for us to negotiate with championship players and clubs, is, like you just said, the prices have gone up. If we really wanted Saeed Benrahma, we just pissed away 2.5 months that we could have been negotiating for him. Why do we have to do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Because that we'll probably end up getting Benrahma and paying 10 million more than we could have literally just a week ago.
Yes, if we go for him, but I don't think we will. To be honest, I don't think the club ever had an intention of moving for Benrahma. I still don't think they do. I just don't think they see it as a position of need. I really do.
Well, they claimed we had 8 wingers. Now we're down
to there you go.
5, I think.
Yeah, look, I don't believe the Benrahma talk. I never have. I still don't. So I think it's a moot point. I just don't think we're going to go in for him at all.
I mean, also I've seen 2 different reports with Saeed Benrahma. I've seen, first of all, West Ham are going to turn their full attention to him. The other one I've seen is Brentford are going to turn their attention on giving him a new contract and making him the highest paid player at the club.
Yeah, well, it's understandable that they would want to do that, Brentford, but the reality is, if a Premier League club comes in who's willing to stump up the money, they will lose him. It's as simple as that. So I don't imagine he will be signing any new contracts before the 16th.
Sorry, Tim, that's me. I can't turn it off. I'm on my Mac, and so I get my iPhone messages through here, and I'm in a group chat where everyone's talking right now. So unfortunately, I cannot turn that off. So if you hear any dings, that is me with text messages, and I wholeheartedly apologize, but there's nothing I can do like that.
Yeah.
So continue. Sorry.
So anyway, yeah. Listen, the Benrahma thing. Look, he's a very, very good player. But if I'm honest, I wouldn't be shelling out for him either. To be honest, I think we have other priorities. Look, if he signed, I'd be very happy. He's a very, very good player. I'm not sure exactly what the plan would be with him. I certainly wouldn't want to drop Fornals. Certainly wouldn't want to drop Bowen. And Antonio's flying it. So I don't know, is Benrahma coming in to play as a left wing back instead of Masuaku? I don't know, has he ever played in that position ever? I don't know. But look, he's a super player. You know, he's a really good player. But listen, we sold Grady Diangana for 18 million. You know, he tore up the championship last season. So if we were to do that, and then, you know, get 18 million for Benrahma just to go and spend 20 plus for Benrahma, I mean, what's the point? I mean, we had a player who tore up the championship in that very position last season. He was our player. Would it cost nothing? I mean, to spend the Diangana money plus more, having to chuck more on top of it, to get a player essentially the same as the one we sold for 18. I mean, come on. I mean, it would be nonsense. Fine player, and I won't grumble if he signs, far from it, but I don't think we're interested, frankly. I don't think Sullivan has any intention of going for Benrahma. I think he's under a bit of pressure at this point from Moyes to get a fucking centre back in. I really do, and I think all of his attention now will be on trying to get the centre back in first and foremost.
Yeah,
and we'll have to wait and see how much he spends on one before we can talk about anyone else, really.
I think I finally. Sorry, I've been kind of frantically trying to figure it out. I think I've turned off the the chiming note. I'm hoping that is the case.
Jesus, Wally, if you're going to take a drink after every ding,
sayonara.
You're not. They'll be pumping your fucking stomach.
Again, I apologize for that. It's just a trip I'm planning with some friends, and they just decided that this was the moment to message about it. So I apologize again. So one of the other links that we've had today is Josh King from Bournemouth. Apparently, Bournemouth have been trying to shop him out for this entire window. Haven't been able to, and now are willing to accept installments for him. So it sounds right up our alley. But
well, no, they're talking Sullivan's language, yeah.
Exactly. So, do you think there's any truth? Do you think we could go for him? Would you take him?
We would go for him. The installments part, if Bournemouth are really looking to offload him, the installment part.
I wish. Every ding getting 50 grand. That would be incredible.
Yeah, I think with Joshua King, yes, I think he's a kind of player we could go after. Presumably, we're looking for cover in the striker position. I mean, we loaned out Zande Silva yesterday as well. So there aren't any strikers about the place apart from Haller. Antonio, fine, we'll call him a striker because that's where he's playing. But those are our two basically now. But King can actually play on the left as well if need be. So for example, if Fornells were to get injured or suspended, Joshua King could actually play out there as well. He could come in and play that position. So if there's a deal to be done with Bournemouth, I think it's something we could look at and actually should look at, because Joshua King is actually a very good player. He's a player I like, and I would be very happy to see King coming in. Actually, that's a deal I would be quite keen to get done if it's possible. We do need a striker, so and it has to be Championship now. So Josh King, yeah, all for it. To be honest, I mean, we should be able to get him at the right money. Would Josh King come? Yes, it's the Premier League. He'll come. He's at Bournemouth. He's out of favour. They want to move him on. He knows he's not wanted. Whichever Premier League club comes in for King is going to get him. He will move to a Premier League club. Yeah, I'd be very happy to get Joshua King. Yeah, I like him. I think Tim is big on him. I think Tim likes him.
Yeah, Tim had said earlier that he's wanted him for several windows. So I think also with Tim, though, I think that's just his vendetta against Bournemouth as well. So I think that helps it. He's wanted to weaken them for a long time. So it benefits us. It weakens them. It's a win-win for Tim.
Yes. And listen, let's be honest. I mean, it would be just way, way better than fucking Denny Welbeck.
Yeah, that's very true. I can't believe I can, because it's he's a free agent. So I mean, it's the cheap move, so it's right up our alley.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sucks that we have to keep relying on the free guys and the journeymen and whatnot. So
yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to spend big on a forward. We're not. Yeah. We're not going to spend big on a striker. So anyone we bring in is going to have to be relatively cheap.
Yeah, very true. I had mentioned earlier the Anderson to Porto loan. I wanted to get your take on that. Do you think it's a good move for him, the club? Do you think that it could be better for us on the back end when he comes back? Because he is going into a contract. He will be going into a contract year after this. So if he does well and we don't want to keep him, then we can try and get a fee for him in the summer. It won't be as much as we'd like, but that's neither here nor there. We also then could give him a contract extension if he does well enough, and all right, give him a second chance in the Premier League. Or we run the risk of letting him walk and not get back for it, and in essence losing $36 million.
Okay, we're not giving him a contract extension. That's not happening. And I'm fucking glad about that. I've got no time for him. You know how I feel about Anderson.
Yeah.
He's just not my kind of player at all. So my hope is that he'll tear it up in Portugal, have a great season for Porto, and we can get a decent fee for him next summer. Now, as you say, he's currently got 2 seasons left in his contract. So by the time his loan deal with Porto is finished, it'll be 1 year. So obviously we're not going to make our money back on him. But, if we can make some decent money on him when we sell him, that would be the best we could hope for at this point. The hope is that he'll do so well for Porto that they might be willing to sign him themselves at the end of the season.
Yeah, there is obviously no obligation or option to buy at the end of it. But if they do like him, I'm sure that they would come in for a fee.
Yeah, so the hope is that he'll do well enough at Porto that we can get a decent amount of money for him and cut our losses, basically. I would be absolutely fine to never see that man in a West Ham shirt ever again, to be completely honest. I think he's a waste of space. I don't know what his problem is, but I think he's a waste of space, which is a shame because he's got lots of talent. But he does nothing for the team, hasn't done for some time. So hopefully I've seen the last of him in a West Ham squad. So
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But look, he did say actually that he'd be quite perfectly happy to come back to West Ham, just not under Moyes. So
Yeah, that is something we talked about as well, you and I, on Twitter, was that it almost seemed like it was a message to the board, like, hey, get a new manager in, and I'll be more than happy to stay.
So clearly he just doesn't get on with Moyes. Moyes doesn't trust him, doesn't rate him, doesn't like him, which is fine by me.
Something's happened. Yeah, something's happened.
Look, Moyes just doesn't like him. He just doesn't rate him. He just, when Moyes came in, he basically said, if you don't run, you don't play. He needs people to graft. I mean, you look at the effort that the team put in against Wolves and Leicester. Just massive effort. Just non-stop for 90 minutes. Just huge, high-energy performances. Anderson does not fit into that system whatsoever.
Yeah. That is a good question. What would you take for him from Porto? I
had I actually, funnily enough, forever you're bang on the money, Red Mind. I had 20 million in my head.
Yeah, for me, it's somewhere. If we can get somewhere between 20 and 25 million, I'll be happy. Any more than that, I mean, it's like just icing on the cake.
I would take 20 right now. And and the same, if he has a really good season, no, we're not getting it. Nobody's paying 20 million for Anderson right now. But if he does, I think forever there is bang on the money. If he does have a really good season with Porto, I would say, look, 20 million is yours. 20 million is the price of a good fucking championship player. So I don't think that's beyond the bounds,
Yeah, and this is true too. He was getting at the very end, at the tail end. He was underperforming under Pellegrini. So you can tell though that regression under Pellegrini and now just the complete bottoming out under Moyes. It seems like it is the player, not the manager.
It's the player. It's Anderson. Again, I don't know what his issue is, but he's been useless for a while, and I mean he was useless against Everton in the cup. Did you see him, Chris, in those 50-50 challenges again that drive me fucking nuts? Did you see him in the 50-50s?
No, I didn't watch the cup match, unfortunately.
Little 50-50, easy little tackles. He wants nothing to do with tackles, challenges for the ball. Isn't interested. He's a fucking fairy, to be honest. Yeah. And I don't ever want to see him play for West Ham again. I've got no time for him. None of this is personal. I've never met him. Well, I don't know him personally, so I couldn't have anything personal against him. But this is purely on the pitch. I've got no time for him. I think he's a complete waste of space. Brings absolutely. I didn't even want him on the bench, Chris, this season. Yeah. I mean, I that first bench we saw when he was on there, and Josh Cullen was left out of the squad, and I thought, like, how in the fuck do you have Anderson on the bench and leave out Josh Cullen? Considering what you've had to watch in pre-season, like, and you leave Cullen out and you put that fucking waste of space Anderson on the bench. And clearly Moyes was done with him and was happy for him to go, and obviously Sullivan was delighted to get another $100,000. Here a little bit. I'm just hoping fucking Anderson leaves me alone, to be honest.
Yeah. But you mentioned one good one too that we can talk about as well. Josh Cullen sold to Anderlecht for £800,000.
Oh.
Another academy player gone when we could have used him. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Chris, what is the point? 800K. Was this? I mean, what was that about? They thought they were getting Tomori and figured, fuck it, look, just in case he doesn't play in a few games, we'll put this 800K away to give Chelsea 50K of it a week for a bit. Oh, what are we doing? Like, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend Josh Cullen is the next big thing, right? But he showed very, very well in pre-season. More than good enough to be on the bench. And he was the player we were all thinking, okay, if the worst happens and we lose Rice or Souček, for a little bit, through injury or suspension, we have Cullen there who's ready to step in, looks good, and a young player, very, very hungry, will be absolutely desperate to prove himself if and when he does get in. And at least we have someone there now that we can bring on that's really up for it and is young and has the legs, has the energy, has the engine to do what needs to be done. He's on fuck all money. What's Cullen on? 30k? Less? I don't know. 20k?
He's an academy player. The fact that we sold him for £800,000, a year left in it, with a year left in his contract, he was probably. I can't imagine he was making more than 15,000 a week, 15, 20.
Whatever it is, look, it's low. It's fuck all, right? And now our cover exactly full. I was just getting to it. We've got a 33-year-old Noble and a 33-year-old Snodgrass. Now, I love them both. I really do. Love them both. But they are not cover for Rice and Souček. I mean, if we lose Rice or Souček and one of those has to come in and cover, I mean, the drop down is massive.
So one of my buddies from home and on Twitter, he's a West Ham fan as well, Nick. He's been on the he's been on the channel a few times recently. He made a good point. He said, if Antonio goes down, we're going down. If Rice goes down, we're going down. If Souček goes down, we're going down. If Ogbonna goes down, we're going down. And what are the odds that all four or five of them are going to stay healthy throughout the season?
Well, look, the big thing is not to lose any of them long term. Look, if any one of them misses a couple of games, 2 or 3 games, okay, it hurts. It lessens our chances of winning those 2 or 3 games or getting a result in those games. But if we lose 1 or 2, I mean, look, it won't hurt too bad if it's a small, short-term thing. The big problem, of course, would be if we lost a couple of them to long-term injuries. That would particularly Rice and Souček. I think either of those two lost long term would be a huge, huge problem. Just a massive problem. So yeah, just to come back to the Cullen thing, I mean, I just will never understand in footballing terms, it makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely zero sense in footballing terms. The only way it makes sense is Sullivan saw the 800k and just wanted the money.
Fabianski going down would be a worry.
Yeah, look, Randolph isn't great. But to be fair, look, Randolph isn't Roberto either. Let's not.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's no Roberto.
He's not Roberto. I mean, he's... okay, look, we all know he's not a great keeper. But he's not a calamity.
Yeah.
Randolph would be solid, I think. So I'm not, but obviously we don't want to lose Fabianski. Again, there's a drop off there to the backup. But then that's what backups are. Backups obviously are going to be some form of drop off. Otherwise, it'd be a first team player. But you don't want the drop off to be precipitous. The drop off from Fabianski to Roberto last year was horrific.
It was night and day.
Yeah, it was just a horrific drop off from the first choice to the backup. That's not the case, thankfully, with Randolph. But unfortunately, I think it is the case now in central midfield. So even if Rice or Souček were out, I still wouldn't want Snodgrass or Noble coming in. Now, I think we all know it will be Noble that comes in, but I wouldn't want it to be. I would much rather drop Fornals in there. And give Lanzini a chance in Fornal's position. See what you can do. I haven't given up on Lanzini. But
I'm very, very, very close to it. Especially
I'm not far off. Agreed. I'm not far off, but I'm not with Lanzini where I was with Anderson yet.
Fair enough.
So if we did lose Rice or Souček, I would drop Fornals back and play Lanzini there, to be honest, before I would even think about bringing Snodgrass or
always have
Noble
to
in there.
give me a little bit of leeway just solely because of the injury. Anderson, it was solely because of attitude. Lanzini, he hasn't been physically capable.
Yeah, well, there's a big difference there, but but also Lanzini showed little glimmers of chinks of light. He did show he wasn't pulling out of challenges. I'll give him that. Last time he played, he did get stuck in and he did go into challenges in the Everton game. Lanzini didn't shy away from the physical stuff. And that's a good sign. That's a player who finally is over the injury psychologically. And is willing to put the foot in and go in for challenges. So, worst case scenario, I'd drop Fornals back and play Lanzini in the Fornals role. And, maybe this system would suit Lanzini too. Who knows? Change of formation, maybe that position is exactly where he could flourish. And maybe we'd see the best of Lanzini there. But, it's a worry, though. We're very, very thin in midfield. And so selling Cullen, it was purely a financial decision on the part of Sullivan. It makes zero sense from a football point of view.
Even a business perspective in all reality. But, all right. So, really quickly, there's one question I want to get to here. And then following that, I will get to what the Excel sheet looks like. There's a little bit of a pretext, though, to this Excel sheet. For those who either don't know or knew anything like that, this West Ham Twitter has always talked about how we're linked to every player and their brother, every single window. And I kind of wanted to put that to the test. I wanted to see how many players were linked to what type of moves they are. Are they free or permanent? Where they're coming from, all of that. So what I have done is in this Excel spreadsheet, and I'm hoping to get this put on Twitter here shortly so that way it can be put around. But I have the total number of players broken down by position, what type of move they are, what league they're coming from, and of those listed, what the total fee was in both euros and pounds. So before that, though, Merton Kelly asked a good question. Call it, where after this, like with the completion of this window, where do you see us finishing, Tommy?
We're going to be bottom half. I'm certain we'll be bottom half. We're not going to break into the top 10. I know we've had a couple of good results, but I wouldn't get carried away. I'll tell you what, I haven't nailed my colours to the mast, and I'm not going to, because I want to wait until the transfer window is actually fully closed. I want to see what Sullivan does over these next few days. We have until we can sign championship players up until the 16th. So I want to wait and see what we do. I think once we know what our final squad is, I think then I'll be more willing to nail my colours to the mast.
That's fair.
I do think it'll be bottom half.
I think I'm not going to give a specific place. I'm going to give us range. I think I agree with the bottom half. I think we fall 13th to 16th. That's my prediction as of right now, as it stands. That could change with some of the players we bring in. If we bring in Saeed Benrahma, if we bring in Roundup from Swansea, if we bring in Josh King, I mean, that changes the dynamic of things. Does that help all that much in terms of being able to get a few more places up the table? Probably, but we'll have to get into the top half, probably not.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what, I won't lie, I'll be absolutely ecstatic if we can get Joe Rodden.
Too.
I mean, listen, he was that close to going to Tottenham yesterday, and that was 18 million. 18 million. And I will absolutely fucking guarantee you, in 2 years' time, he will be better than James Tarkowski is now.
Yeah. So, all right, really quickly then.
18.
Yep.
18.
Yep.
Go get him, moron.
You're going to get him any cheaper.
No, this is as cheap as he's ever going to be. Like Sullivan was out there saying, oh, we think he'll be a really good Premier League defender in 12 to 18 months. Yeah, we know. And in 12 to 18 months, he'll be worth 40 million.
Zero ambition, foe, 100%.
Yeah, that's it. But listen, go get Joe Rodden. It's a no-brainer. We were messaging each other yesterday, and I was telling you I was actually sickened when I saw that Tottenham had bid for him. I was sickened. I thought, oh my God, fucking Tottenham are going to sign him.
Yeah, I will say with that deal too, I remember X saying that they think that he's a year or two off from being Premier League ready. So then you're willing to wait a year or two where his price is probably going to be double, if not triple, and we might not even be in the Premier League.
We'll be priced out of him. And listen, by the way, I disagree with the fucking premise entirely anyway. He's a Premier League ready player now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this whole thing, in 12, 18, yeah, I'll tell you what, you're not going to get him in 12 months' time. You're not going to get him. We have one chance to sign Joe Rodden. One.
On this one.
And he will. We have one chance to sign him, and it's now. If we don't go now, he will sign for a different Premier League team. And in 18 months' time, when they think he'll be Premier League ready, he'll have been playing in the Premier League for a season and a half, and he'll be worth 40 million. And his price will be going that way.
Yep.
Morons fucking running our club.
So, segueing that into the results of the Excel spreadsheet. And I haven't told Tommy I think I may have told you how many players it is total, but that might be it. So, starting it off.
Don't mind me, I can hear you. Okay, carry on.
And mind you too, this is bare minimum. Like, this is the minimum. This is how many players I definitively saw. I guarantee I missed links. So take it with as at least before every figure I say. 141 total players. First of all, of those broken down into positions, 3 goalkeepers, 70 defenders, 34 midfielders, 20 forwards, 15 out-and-out strikers. Of these players, 30 were either free or loan moves. 111 were permanent moves. Now, I have this label as cost of the rumored. So, for example, if they say, like, oh, they're wanting 20 million, I would label that as the fee. And I broke it up into both to the pounds and the euros if they gave the respective figures. So of those figures in pounds, 815.7 million. In euros, an additional 228.5 million. 77 players had unlisted amounts, mind you. And now the leagues, this was kind of interesting to me as well. 38 of those players were from the Premier League. 17 were from the Championship. 13 were from La Liga. 15 from Ligue 1. 25 from Calcio A. 8 from the Bundesliga. 3 from Overseas League, primarily in I believe actually all 3 were in South America. and 23 which I have labeled as others. So they're non-top 5, i.e. Portugal, Scotland, those kind of leagues. 141 players, well over a total of a rumored over £1 billion, with almost half of them unlisted and unlisted fees. So, and 30 of them being free or loan moves. So,
yeah, and we ended up with one fullback for 5 million. And the initial payment, and that's over the course of the 4-year deal. So the initial payment was 1.25 million.
Yeah, I every single day I would try to check rumors, and it just, that Excel sheet just grew and grew and grew. I'll actually show everyone the Excel sheet here.
No, it has to be said, these were transfer rumors. I mean, look, many of them we probably were never ever going in for. This is all paper talk and ITK stuff.
Oh, of course. So for those who have never seen this before, this is what I've been working on all window. Every little bit of that is compiled into this list. These two right here, obviously, are since the transfer window is closed. That's why the black line is there. So everything above that line was over the course of the past 2.5 months. Yellow are the loans or free moves that I was referring to, and this one lone blue box is the loan signing we made. And this is the outs. So I also kept track of every player who was rumored to be leaving the club. And there's a stark difference. One player brought in amongst 141 links, almost half of the outs were done.
How many did we lose in the end? 9?
I have 8 here. I might have missed
8.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying. Zande Silva went. Cullen. Who else? Who else went out on loan?
If you, I will say I did not include the academy players.
Yeah. Well, Silva was made some appearances, so probably counts as a first teamer maybe at this point. But
I can actually show you Craig Dawson, because it was Craig Dawson. Surprisingly, is not a new rumor. Craig Dawson, where is he? It is right here. This is. I'm trying to. I should have put dates as to when I added them.
Are there numbers? Are they numbered?
Number 48. This was the 40.
So fairly early,
Yeah, Vladimir Kufal was the 14th rumor this window.
Yeah, I remember hearing about him early enough. Yeah.
Craig Dawson was 43rd. I mean, he came right around the same time as Ryan Manning, which we're still interested in, Danny Rose. So that kind of gives you a sense of when he was originally linked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But that has been my kind of little personal project throughout this week.
Yeah, it's. I imagine it's been quite depressing.
You
haven't done your mental health any favors.
Well, it was more comedic than anything, just seeing that list grow and grow and grow, and knowing we're not going to sign any of them.
Yeah, and you were very close to the truth. We got one.
Yeah,
and again, that was only because Fredericks got injured. If Fredericks didn't get injured, we wouldn't have signed Sofal either.
Yeah, it's a shambles. Basically, what I would do is now I can actually I'm probably the most viewed person on this page, this window, I guarantee you. But newsnow.co.uk is what I would use. It compiles just about everything. So I'd go through and see if there's any dollar figures or like the figure amount. And I just start clicking on them, clicking on different, like I told Tommy this today, going back to Craig Dawson.
Just before you start, just to everyone in the chat, because we've got a few people in there. If you've got any questions, pop them up in the chat, and we'll come back to them.
Yeah, if you want to know anything transfers, I feel like I'm a West Ham transfer expert now. But as I was telling you earlier today on Twitter, one of these pages was saying, "Oh, West Ham in talks to sign star championship player," and I started laughing to myself. I'm like, I think I know who this is. Click on it. They're trying to hype up Craig fucking Dawson.
Yeah, that was hilarious. They tried to paint him as this kind of one of the top centre backs in the championship. Yeah. He can't get in the Watford team.
No, but
he doesn't even play.
That's kind of my method. I'd look for those keywords because on there a lot is like on top right now. It says club publish open letter to supporters. Anderson completes FC Porto loan as West Ham Benrahma deal. Those kind of things. It trigger that, and I'd click on it, see if it's a new person, if it is, where they're coming from, what's the source, how much money, if there's a figure, what position they play. And
now that we can only sign players from the EFL, we're going to, here we go again. It's all going to get churned up again. The same names are going to come out. Tomorrow you'll see somewhere that we're looking to sign Rico Henry. Guarantee you. It's the same names, same faces that they're going to link us with. I guarantee you'll see that. Tomorrow it'll be Rico Henry. Just so they have something to say, because we know we apparently had some interest in him.
To answer this question here, we were not linked with a single, at least unless you mean like nationality, like Felipe Anderson, or like we were linked with 3 players from South America, 1 defender, 1 winger, I believe, and 1 midfielder. So one thing I should have done, but it would have been even more exhausting, I should have in all reality put down the nationality of each of these links just to see what the overall consensus. Are we looking at certain, like, are we being linked with primarily English players or Brazilian players, stuff like that. But like I said, that would have been even more exhausting than this one already was. So
okay, we're just over the hour. So what kind of questions we got?
All right. So how much money do you think West Ham will have to spend in this? Will have to spend. Okay, sorry, I read that wrong. In this extended window, personally,
Sullivan told us this already. There's 40 million. We know this because Sullivan said so publicly on TalkSport when he was talking to Jim White.
Yeah.
So it's 40 million. No, that does not mean we're going to spend 40 million.
No, zero.
But that's what's there to spend. Sullivan will try not to spend it all, obviously.
Did you see Ngaki was the championship player of the month? Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know he was.
So what? Doesn't surprise me. He's a good player. We saw that when he played for us. He just didn't listen. He left because he wanted to go somewhere where he was guaranteed first team football. That's it. And we very correctly were not willing to do that. You don't guarantee a teenage kid who's just broke through guaranteed football. Doesn't happen. He had competition for that place with Fredericks and Johnson. So he was never going to get guaranteed football at West Ham. And listen, lots of players have gotten Player of the Month in the Championship. It doesn't mean they're brilliant. Doesn't mean they'd be great Premier League players. Look, good luck to the kid, but he's a decent player, obviously, and we'll see how he goes. Obviously, we'll all keep an eye on his career for obvious reasons. But I did see it, but it means nothing to me, to be honest.
Do you think that we will ditch Brady? I think it'd be the smart move to, but I don't think we will.
No, they won't. They've got no shame.
No.
And I know what Kieran's talking about. She's got that stupid fucking column. She actually had the temerity. Like, this is actually, it's probably not even temerity. This is they're so kind of unaware. Just a complete lack of self-awareness. Karen Brady's article the other day, you know what she talked about? About what a mess Barcelona are.
I sent that to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen Brady calling Barcelona a mess.
It's like, oh wow. I mean,
like,
talk about total and complete lack of self-awareness. I mean, that was just incredible to hear her say that.
It's the other one that was not as bad as that one, but it's still hilarious, is her saying that the football stadiums are safer than most places, and then literally within 12 hours, David Moyes, Cullen, and Diop getting diagnosed with COVID.
Like, yeah, look,
God.
With her, everything is agenda-driven, right? They hate the fact that they can't get 60,000 into the stadium every home game. They want to get fans in through the gates. So yeah, that was basically her angle on that. It had nothing to do with reality, nothing to do with any evidence or expertise. It was literally just, we want fans back because we need the money.
Yeah. Have you heard the rumors of the takeover again? What do you think? It's coming from this damn secret agent. I don't know why anyone gives him credence. First of all, two things. You look at that account. He goes on Spencer FC's live stream, whatever the hell that was. I don't know if it was a podcast, whatever the hell it was. And he starts talking all this, and now all of a sudden he's an expert and everything.
Yeah.
You go back, you click on his Twitter account and go back. Literally, the last tweet before he had sent those about the board, or the takeover, was 4 years ago, and all he was doing was talking, or adding Spencer Owen and Spencer's family. So he's either a friend of Spencer or he's a fan, and they're just doing this for clicks. That's all it is. There's zero chance. That, or it's coming from the board directly, because someone actually pointed out a good point. Every time one of those secret ITK agents links or rumors come up, then that is when it's at the peak of the GSB out. It's this summer it's been the roller coaster, and every up he's tweeted, then he goes away as it declines, then it comes back up, he tweets again.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Look, there may be parties that are looking at West Ham. That's possible, but there's certainly no bid imminent.
Yeah, like Kieran says, he's a friend. There's 0% chance that he's legit, because also, if he really was in one of these ITKs, he'd be tweeting more about than just the takeover. He'd be trying to show that he's show that he has some credibility. Show that he has the links. If he would have said a week before or 5 days before, oh, Thomas Souček's recommended to the club, Vladimir Coufal, and a bid is imminent and he's going to be signed. That's one thing. That would and then he does that would change perception. But now that all he's doing is the board links, like the takeover links, he has no credibility.
No, I think everybody knows it now. I think anybody that was kind of giving him, the benefit of the doubt or whatever, but yeah, I think everybody knows now. There's no bid imminent from anywhere. We're stuck with him for a while, I'm afraid.
Well, listen. So this stream's going on for a bit, and we probably could wrap it up here. But I have one. Kieran has a very important question, and this is the question we're going to end on.
Okay.
Who would win the fight, an elephant or 162 chickens?
Right. I love these. Okay. We have to we have to talk terms here. What do we? No, I mean, like, what constitutes winning the fight? I mean, is it a fight? If it's a fight to the death, the elephant wins every time, right? With ease. The chickens aren't going to get anywhere near killing an elephant. If we're talking about, can the chickens make the elephant turn tail and run? Now that's possible. If you've got 162 chickens suddenly attacking you and they're fucking flapping all over the place, they're in your face, hitting off you, an elephant might decide, you know what, I don't want it.
Yeah.
He might turn and run. So, on those terms, if we're just talking about who runs first, I suspect the elephant's going to turn tail and run from 162 chickens flapping around him.
I have to tend to agree with you there, I think. Primarily being, Lee, it's the pecking order. Oh, for God's sakes.
Fuck off, Lee. Go to bed.
But for me, like you said, if it's a fight to the death, the elephant wins. Two big reasons. First of all, it's got weight, it's got legs, and it's got a tusk or a trunk, and it's got tusks. Chicken's not going to be able to.
Yeah, the chickens can't even hurt him. His fucking hide is that thick.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think if it's a fight to the death, the elephant wins every time. Like you said, if it's the first one to back out of the fight, I could see the elephant being, because a flock of 162 chickens to an elephant, I imagine, looks massive. And
yeah, and it's kind of like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's like, I think the elephant would turn tail and run. Thanks, Bo. If it's not, I know this. See, I don't think he thought it was going to go down like this. When he said about the elephant and the chickens, I thought he thought it was just going to be this ridiculous question. But if it's not to the death, my money's on the fucking chickens.
Question of the night: should West Ham sign the elephant or the 162 chickens?
Kind of have an elephant called Antonio. 162 chickens.
I mean, that's a lot of bodies on the field.
Yeah, I know the squad is thin, but fucking hell. I think it's going to be hard to keep 162 chickens happy. And an elephant, at least, I think would give us a bit of physical presence at the back. How do you annoy an elephant to death? Yeah, I don't think they'd die for that. Yeah. No worries forever. Have a good one.
That's possible.
Elephant would brick it. I think he would too. I think the elephant would take off.
Listen, though, thank you, everyone.
Mostly because it's just very fucking weird.
Yeah, very true.
Listen, I think 162 chickens. You know what they're like making that fucking noise. That's a lot of noise too.
That is true.
Feathers everywhere and fucking. They're just weird chickens. I think 162 chickens would freak anything out, I think, including me.
It's true. Well, listen, thank you for everyone for joining us. This was one of my favorite shows, actually, especially just mainly because, put the elephant in goal. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, 100%.
But just to finally be able to unveil everything I did with this Excel sheet, been an interesting experiment for me. But yeah, this has been one of my favorite shows. What the hell? Sorry.
Yeah, plus, those chickens have got no fucking discipline.
Yeah.
They'll be giving away penalties for handball all the time. It'd just be a mess.
I have a thing on my door leading outside, and gust of wind just blew and scared the piss out of me. So, I thought someone was busting through my door.
Oh man, that would be just epic.
Oh God,
live TV. Just to see you turn and just fucking empty a clip into someone. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm not armed, unfortunately. I wish. But yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us. It's been an interesting transfer window, obviously. Hopefully we can do this again in the January window. Hopefully that there will be a little bit more to talk about, but we'll see.
Well, let's see, Chris. I mean, there's a possibility, we might do a show when the window closes entirely. Maybe we'll have something to talk about. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Yeah, so
Joe Rodden, please, Joe Rodden, 18 million, no-brainer.
But thank you everyone for joining us. We'll probably see you back here in 10 days to see. Now imagine 162. This is going to be a forever running joke in our post-match streams now.
Listen, for obviously we do post-match shows, so our next broadcast is probably going to be after the Tottenham game. So I want the guys to think of another ridiculous but brilliant question like
this
that.
needs to be a new thing, just a ridiculous question like that at the end of every show.
Yeah, we want a ridiculous question to finish on every show.
Yeah, because that way when it's a win, it's still like jovial and everything like that. But if it's a loss, at least it lifts the spirits a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's Tottenham up next. So.
Yeah, that's fair. But again, thank you for everyone for joining us in the chat. Thank you, as always, Tommy, for joining me. And then now until next time.
And everyone in the chat. Thanks. Brilliant.
Yep. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.